getting ready to boil some sap today, and I had a tree that fell in the lawn. It actually fell during a windstorm this past winter, so I figured I would use it to fire up my evaporator. So we had some big windstorms and this tree actually fell down in the lawn, and my wood-fired evaporator is right up there, so I figured this is gonna do some yard cleanup while boiling some sap and burn this right up in the evaporator. So I've got my chainsaw chaps here. I'm gonna grab my helmet with my face mask. Gotta be safe. I've heard of way too many accidents happening when people are using a chainsaw. So let's get this cut up. Gotta finish cutting up that tree yet, but that's enough to get me started for now. So gonna collect those and take them over. Gotta find my buckles here. Take them over to start filling up the evaporator. I'm just about ready to boil for the first time of the 2025 season. And right here, I have my evaporator. So it's an Evapo grill. I actually have a smokestack. I just have to put it on yet. It's down at the house. But behind me are my 5-gallon buckets of raw sap. So I got to take those down, run them through the reverse osmosis machine. Then I'll be bringing them back to put them in the evaporator. But they stayed nice and cool until I was ready to boil. And then I still have to collect sap for today. That's on my trees, and the sap has been running like crazy, so there should be a lot of sap to go grab. So I will take you guys along as I do that. But first, I'm gonna start carrying this sap down so I can run it through the RO. So here's the raw sap that I'm gonna run through the RO. I have just a little skimmer here, so I'm just gonna skim off these bugs. Then this ice chunk I'm gonna just take out as well. So the bucket right next to here, I actually have for the ice, because once that melts, I'll probably run it through the RO as well. All right. Oops. Right here is my little setup. So I have the Nano RO. I'm just going to turn it on. And so this yellow tube right here is my raw sap bucket. So this is what is feeding into the RO. And then I have, that's just an extra bucket because that's the bucket I just dumped the sap into the raw sap bucket from. Then I have my concentrate and my permeate. So permeate is all the excess water that was taken out of the sap, and the concentrate is the concentrated sap. So this is the sap that I'm gonna take up to the evaporator to actually boil down to make maple syrup. I think my shadow's kind of in here, but this one is, you can kind of see it's a little tinted yellow more, where this one is just clear, purified water essentially. So just pure water right there. And this I'm going to keep, that's the permeate. I keep this to clean my equipment and my RO once I'm done running the RO. So once all my sap goes through, I'll be using this to clean the RO with some clean permeate water. And this is actually a pretty quick process. It's going fast. I just started it about a minute ago, and look at it, it's about almost halfway done running through already. And it's running at about 100 PSI, which is what you want to run this machine at. So no more than that. That's what it's actually built to run at, as 100 PSI. I better go get my other sap ready. I carried down 2 buckets. I have 25 gallons total, so my permeate and my concentrate. I'm out, gonna collect some sap, and today will be the very first boil for me on the small evaporator. So my first backyard boil to make maple syrup. And my buckets today, the sap has been flowing like crazy, so they are full. I already have 25 gallons of sap that I ran through the reverse osmosis machine. And so I'm anticipating about 10 more gallons. So I'll run those through the RO and then we're gonna start boiling. So I am really excited about this. So here's my first bucket. I did not collect sap yesterday or today yet. So yesterday it was pretty cold and the sap barely ran. It was in the 30s and the feels like temp was around 26. So it just ran very little, which means today it's 60 right now, 60 degrees outside. So the sap has been running like crazy. And look at this bucket. It's already full up to here. These are 3-gallon buckets that I'm using. So that I would say is at least 1.5 gallons, maybe 2. We'll see how many we get out of our 9 taps. I have 2 5-gallon pails. So like I said, we'll see at the end how much we got. The sap is still flowing good. When you see those drips just keep going when you're pouring into the pail. Oh, it's painful. I hate losing sap. But bucket 1, this is a red maple. So I tap sugar maples and red maples. Well, really I tap any maple that's on our property, but sugar maples and red maples are primarily what's on my property here. So that's what I'm tapping. And this tree ran really great. As you can tell, it's a larger red maple. And it's also on the edge, so it's on the edge of the woods, has a larger canopy, and so the sun hits it, warms it up first pretty quickly, which is one of the reasons we're getting quite a bit of sap from this tree. Let's go see the other ones. Tap's not quite as full as our last bucket, but it still has a really good amount of sap. This right here is a sugar maple. It's a good sized sugar maple, not huge, not too small, but a nice healthy sugar maple. And it's on the interior of the woods. So the last tree we were at was a red maple and it was on the edge of the woods. This one's actually inside the woods. So the canopy is a bit smaller, but we're getting some good amount of sap from it. And like I said, the sap is just still flowing, still warm out. We're gonna have a really great first boil. Already got half a bucket here. So these 3 trees, I got a sugar maple, red maple right there. And I actually think I'm gonna run out of space in my 5-gallon pail. I might actually have to go grab another one before I finish these 3 trees. Ooh. All right. 4 buckets. Well, 4 taps, and we got a completely full 5-gallon pail. I should have brought the lid so I don't spill any here. I'm actually gonna leave it right here and go grab the lid. Whew, uneven ground. All right, I'll be back with another one to fill it up. Look how nice and clear that sap is. There's some bugs floating on the top there. I do have a skimmer that I'll skim them off before I run them through the RO. Now this is that red maple that I only tapped one side of because of the woodpecker damage on the other trunk. But look at how full this baby is. I don't think I'm gonna be able to fit them all in this bucket. This bucket is the fullest out of all of the trees so far. It is all the way up to here. I don't even know if, well, we'll find out. I don't know if all of it will fit into the 5-gallon pail. Just barely. It is about to overflow. I'm gonna have to come back for this bucket. I only brought 2 5-gallon pails, so I got 8 taps collected, filled both 5-gallon pails to the absolute brim. So I got 1 left. So out of these 9 tabs, I got about, I would say, 12 gallons of sap today. So pretty good. I have the RO running, so I figured I would come back and grab this last bucket quick. Right there's my little evaporator, just waiting to be turned on tonight. But soon, very soon, just gotta grab this last sap and we'll be almost ready. I got my evaporator started. As you can see, there's smoke coming out, so I'm just now waiting for the sap to start boiling. Once the sap starts boiling, I'm gonna use my little thermometer, take the temperature, because when the sap is boiling, that tells me the boiling point of water. And from there, I can figure out the temperature of finished syrup. So I have my thermometer here, ready to go for when it starts to boil. And then I have a little skimmer here, a little fine mesh strainer. And what I'm going to use this for is syrup will tend to foam as it boils. And this is just to skim off any foam. Wanted to give you a little update on how boiling is going. So it is hot outside. So today it is 68 degrees outside. I started out in jeans and a long sleeve shirt, but it is hot outside. So I switched those for some shorts and a t-shirt, and here we are. So a bunch of things didn't go as planned. I made some dividers and I've had them in my pan, and I made them a little snug. So when the pan was dry, because I dry fit them, they were snug in the pan, which was perfect. They stayed great. And then once the sap started heating up and getting hot, the boards came out of place and just started floating. So I took them out. So I'm just going to do one long batch, continuous boil, I guess. So I won't be adding sap as I go. I have pretty much all my sap in there right now. So I'm just gonna boil it down as is. So just wanted to give you a little update. That is where I'm at. Once the sap starts boiling, I will check back in with you. My evaporator door I have open. I'll show you inside. Here's my evaporator. She's burning hot. And here's my pan now. Just one large 2x3 pan. The sides here are about 8 inches high, and my sap I have at about 2 inches or so. I actually do have another bucket of concentrate to add to it, and I'll add to that in a little bit here. All right, we are finally starting to boil. Took a little bit to get up, start boiling. Got my fire going. She's burning hot. I'm gonna check the temperature on this. I need to get a thermometer that has a longer probe so that way my hand's not burning while I do this. My sap is boiling pretty good right now. So I took the temperature when it first started boiling and it was right around 211, which means it takes about a little over 7 degrees more to turn it into maple syrup. If you're making maple syrup, you definitely never want to walk too far away from the evaporator. But yeah, I can feel that steam coming off and we'll have syrup soon. I am still boiling, but I figured I would wrap up this video since it's going to be getting dark out soon. So this is taking a while, which if you've ever made maple syrup before, it does take a long time. Hopefully finish it off, have some syrup for tomorrow morning for our pancakes. And I have a big stainless steel pot right here, I'll show you. So the finished syrup I'm going to put right in here. And I have filters that I'm actually going to filter it through to put it into the big stainless steel pot. So from the pan to the pot and onto our pancakes in the morning. So thank you guys so much for tuning in. I know this is completely different content than what I normally do. Well, I guess not completely different because it's still maple syrup related, but it's very small scale in your backyard, which is not something I have ever done before. So very fun for me. First time doing it, so I'm going to be learning a lot as I go. And you guys get to learn with me because small scale has a lot of similarities, but a lot of differences. And it's really hard to go from large scale to going to like a backyard setup and not having the best or wanting to buy like the next step up. So this has been a journey that I'm really excited about, and I already have huge plans for next year. But first, we got to get through this season. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you guys want any maple syrup, you can find it at themaplefarmer.com. Don't worry, it's not the small batch syrup. It is the good syrup from Boxler Maple. So you can find it over there, themaplefarmer.com. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. What are we doing?
Yeah.
In the air? You see an airplane?
Yeah.
You got the charger?
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you. Hold on to it for Mama, okay? Put the charger in there? Perfect. Thank you. You gonna drive away with it? Okay, here we go.